بسم الله والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله يهده الله فهو المهتدي ومن يضلل فلا هادي له. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين، الصلاة والسلام على خير المرسلين محمد بن عبد الله صلى الله عليه وعلى آله وصحبه ومن تبعه بإحسان إلى يوم الدين. Tonight, inshallah, we continue with this series, and we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to accept from us our efforts, and we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to show us the straight path, and we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to keep us alive as long as life is good for us, and to take us away if death is better for us. We continue, and we've been speaking about new generations and building a new generations, and very important that we should be aware of the importance of the social setting where the person is being raised. And it's really very significant and very critical, because it doesn't matter how intelligent the person can be, or the kid or the child. It doesn't matter how much all the capabilities and all the characters that are required in a successful person when he grows up. Even if all those are there and they are existing in such a person, still the environment is very important. The environment and the conditions that surrounding this person are very important and need to be taken care of. And there is no better environment, or the best environment that is provided for any child is his family. That is the best and the beginning and the very first and the very important and the most important environment around the child is his family, especially his parents. And when you look in the history and you look at the characters, the greatest characters in Islam, you find that their parents were or had a great influence on them. And you will be surprised when you find that a lot of those parents were mainly the mothers. Yani the greatest characters in Islam and the greatest names that most of us know about were raised by women and were taken care by women. And this is a message to all the women of the Muslims. And this is the message to the mothers. This is the message to the wives. This is a message to those women who are taking care of our children. We advise them and we remind them and remind ourselves that your responsibility is big, and your responsibility go beyond cooking and cleaning. Your responsibility is way higher than that, and you need to be an example. And when you come to the masajid and the houses of Allah, be an example as well. Don't show your kids and those little kids, especially those little young girls that are growing up, don't show them that you come to the masjid to gossip and to backbite and to talk about her and about him. All this has no benefit, and all this speech has no return other than harm. يقول الله سبحانه وتعالى: لا خير في كثير من نجواهم إلا من أمر بصدقة أو معروف أو إصلاح بين الناس ومن يفعل ذلك ابتغاء مرضات الله فسوف نؤتيه أجرا عظيما. There is no great benefit or no good in their speech, most of their speech, except when he's ordering for a good thing, when he's inviting to a sadaqah, or inviting to a good thing between people, or he's trying to make up or reconcile between two disputing groups. So it's very important that you pay attention to what you say, and just the fact that you're behind the curtain doesn't give you the right to say whatever you want and be involved in whatever you want, separating yourself from the rest of the masjid. So it's very important to look at those names and to look at those characters and see who produced them, those figures in Islam that all of us, there is no book of hadith but you'll find their names, there is no book of fiqh but you'll find their names. The greatest books in Islam are written by them. A lot of them were raised by women and were taken care by women. Either the father was busy, or the father was out fi sabilillah, or the father died, or whatever the situation is, but you find that women raised them and took care of them and produced to us great figures that we are still remembering until this day, and we will continue until the day of judgment. بعد الزبير بن العوام رضي الله عنه. الزبير يعني one of the greatest صحابة حواري النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم. His mother was Safiya, his mother Safiya. And Safiya bint Abd al-Muttalib is the aunt of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. That is his mother. And his uncle was Hamza, Asadullah. So look at those people and look at the families that they came from. And when you talk about Zubayr, Haddith wala haraj, and pride yourself as Muslim to be in the ummah of Zubayr, one ummah. Abdullah, wal Mundir, wa Urwa, all those are the kids of Zubayr who were raised by their father and their mother. Their mother Asma. Who's Asma? The daughter of Abu Bakr. Their grandfather is Abu Bakr as-Siddiq radiyallahu anhu. And that's Ali ibn Abi Talib. He's raised by two women. Fatima bint Asad, that's his mother, radiyallahu anha, and the other very much his mother that he was raised by, Khadija bint Khuwaylid, the wife of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, wa al-Mu'mineen, as we know, he was raised in the house of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And Abdullah bin Ja'far was raised by Asma bint Umays, while Muawiyah ibn Abi Sufyan by Hind bint Utbah. So these are characters and figures by women, raised by women. Sufyan al-Thawri was a fruit of his mother. Sufyan al-Thawri, one of the great ulama of Islam, fruit of his mother. That is the person, or one of the scholars, his mother used to tell him when he was young, Ya bunay, اطلب العلم وأنا أكفيك بمغزلي. Ya bunay, اطلب العلم وأنا أكفيك بمغزلي. يعني don't worry about it, I'll work and I will take care of you. You just seek knowledge. All you need to do is just seek. I will take care of it by spinning the thread. I will take care of you. Just focus on seeking knowledge. So when you have a mother like that, you should not be worried. And Abu Amr al-Awza'i, one of the ulama, also raised by his woman, his mother, and he was approached to give fatwa when he was 13 years old. He was 13 years old and he was qualified to give fatwa. And Rabi' ibn Abi Abd al-Rahman, يعني هذا ربيع ibn Abi Abd al-Rahman used to be called Rabi'atul Ra'i. He's one of the teachers of Imam Malik. His story is amazing. يعني his father Abd al-Rahman went out في سبيل الله يعني for al-jihad, and he disappeared. He went out and he disappeared, and he left behind 30,000 dinar. 30,000 dinar. That is like wealth. Then that's the millions. Okay, so years passed and the mother took care of this kid. She used to take him to the scholars and to the shaykh to seek the knowledge. The student of Imam Malik, the teacher of Imam Malik, until Rabi'atul Ra'i, until one day when the people start gathering around him and he became a well-known scholar, and he's the teacher of Imam Malik. And one day his father returns. So he comes to the house and he finds Rabi'a in the house. He starts fighting with him. Why? Because he thought, a strange man in my house. And what are you doing here? And they start fighting and they start wrestling until the people gathered around him. And Imam Malik comes and he tells Rabi'a, yani the father, he tells him, why don't you just find another house? They don't even know who he was. They thought he's looking for a house to stay in. So Imam Malik tells him, just go and find another house. Yani you have to live here or you have to stay here. So when he started saying, this is my house and this and that, the wife or the mother of Rabi'a, his wife, heard that. So when she recognized her husband, she said, this is your father. And they started hugging each other. And then he realized that what has happened. He goes to the masjid and he sees all these people around his kid, his son, seeking knowledge, taking knowledge from his son, the scholar, Rabi'atul Ra'i. So what happened after that? His son felt shy and embarrassed of his father, how the people all around him and his father on the side. So he lowered his gaze, he lowered his head. And then when the father went back home, he asked the mother, what happened to the 30,000 dinar? So she said, the 30,000 dinar? She said, what is better for you, 30,000 dinar or what you saw with your son, how the people around him? He said, what I saw, how the people around him is better for me. She said, I spend them all in his way to seek knowledge and to learn the deen of Allah. So very important to understand, this is a mother who takes care of her son the way she's supposed to. And money didn't matter. She used the money to produce a scholar that people still mention his name until today. Even Imam Malik, rahimahullah, he was an orphan. His mother used to put the small amama on his head, and she used to send him to the masajid to seek the knowledge, and she used to tell him, اذهب إلى ربيعة وخذ من علمه وخذ من حلمه قبل أن تأخذ من علمه. she used to send him to Rabi'a, the same guy, Rabi'a al-Ra'i. We said Malik was his student. When he was a little young kid, she will put the small amama over his head, take him to the masjid and tell him, sit to Rabi'a and listen to Rabi'a. Take from his forbearance, take from his wisdom, take from his patience before you take from his knowledge. So it's very important how the mother can shape her son and can produce. On the other hand, you find women raising their kids to hate, let's say supposedly to hate the father's family, or to hate their relatives, or to hate even their fathers, because there is a personal issues between her and the husband. She makes her kids hate him. So all these issues that women need to go beyond that and need to learn from these women, and how what they focused on and what they learned and what they thought is important in this dunya. Also Imam Shafi'i rahimahullah. And you're talking about big names, Sufyan al-Thawri, Shafi'i, Malik. Shafi'i was raised by a woman. His father died when he was young. His mother took him from Gaza all the way to Medina and to seek knowledge, to Hijaz, to seek knowledge from these areas, because his maternal family was from that part, from the peninsula. And Imam al-Bukhari, the same story. His mother took care of him. His mother raised him. His father died when he was at young age, and his mother raised. So you have Bukhari, Shafi'i, Malik, all these great ulama by women. And the Sahaba that we already mentioned, Abdullah ibn Zubayr, Zubayr ibn al-Awwam, Abdullah ibn Zubayr, Ali, all these people by women. So our women need to stand up and need to step up to what's expected out of them, and stop being busy with qalu qeel and she said and he said and all that nonsense that doesn't bring any benefit. It brings nothing but harm. Also Umar bin Abdul Aziz, it's very important when we talk about these individuals and we talk about their characters and we talk about the way they were raised, we should never forget, and usually we make a mistake by focusing on the characters, forgetting the environment that produced them. Because our goal is to achieve those characters, but without knowing the environment around them. The environment, Umar bin Abdul Aziz, they said, you know the hadith of the Prophet ﷺ, every 100 years Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will send someone to renew this deen for this ummah. Qul ulama, the first 100 years was Umar bin Abdul Aziz. Umar bin Abdul Aziz was al-Mujaddid, the first 100 years. So it's second 100 years, Imam Ahmad said it's a Shafi'i. You know? So, but the point is that we need to talk about is we need to look at the environment that Umar bin Abdul Aziz was the son of Umara, and his uncles were the Khulafa, and his grandfather the Khalifa, and his uncle the Khalifa, and his father Wali Masr. So all this, and then he turned to be Khalifa. So he's spoiled, if we can use the word. He's rich, he's raised in a very rich environment. He's rich, he did not wear one garment twice. All that before he took the position of Al-Khilafah. Yet they focused, and his father knew his priorities. He knew what he wanted from his kid. As he said, I knew that he became mature before his time. His father, and this is something important that parents need to look for and need to watch. When they see one of their kids is gifted and excelling, they need to take care of him, and they need to nourish this gift that Allah had given him, not just ignore him or treat him like everyone else. It's very important to take advantage of the situation. So the bottom line is, his father said, I recognize that he was mature before his time. And that's when he started. When his father, Abdul Aziz ibn Marwan, when he became the wali of Egypt, he wanted to move. Wherever he was, he wanted to move and go to Egypt. So his son Umar bin Abdul Aziz, and he was still a young boy, he told him, there is no benefit for me to go with you. Why don't you just send me to Medina? Let me sit to the scholars and to the ulama so I can learn from them. So very important that when you see a son like that and excited, you find a lot of those ulama at very young age, 12 and 13 years old, they left their families and left their homes seeking knowledge. So the fact that their families knew that they were able to take care of themselves at this age, they are able to achieve what they're leaving their homes and families for, they let them go. That means they knew how they were raising them, and they knew that these kids were capable of achieving their goals. سعيد بن عفير قال حدثنا يعقوب عن أبيه أن عبد العزيز بن مروان بعث ابنه عمر إلى المدينة يتأدب فيها، وكتب إلى صالح بن كيسان يتعاهده. يعني when Abdul Aziz bin Marwan sent his son Umar bin Abdul Aziz to Medina, remember, to learn from the scholars and to learn the manners and the adab, all that, he put one of the ulama to be in charge of his son, meaning to watch over him, to make sure that he's doing what he's at a young age. Yani sometimes you don't know where your benefit is. So he put Ibn Kaysan to take care of him and to watch everything. So when it's time to Salah, he makes sure he's coming to the Salah, this and that. So one day Umar bin Abdul Aziz was late for Salah. So Ibn Kaysan asked him, why you're late? Salat al-Jama'ah. He said, I was busy with my hair. Okay? Yani the woman that was taking care of his hair, combing his hair, was late to do it. That's a showed you, the son of the Umara. Now this is a kid. Okay? It's not like to say a woman was taking care. He was still a kid. So Ibn Kaysan, just to show you, send a message to his father, Abdul Aziz. He tells him, your son was late for one faridah. In another place of the world, in Egypt, your son was late for one faridah because he sent him for a purpose to learn the deen. So now even when you are there just for this, you're going to be late too, you know. So his father sent him a messenger. His father sent a messenger to Umar, to his son, all the way from Egypt. He sent him a messenger, and he tells the messenger, don't talk to him until he shave his head. Yani the hair that kept him busy from the salah needs to go. And this is a fundamental. Every time something keeps you busy from Allah, get rid of it. Very important. Anything that keeps you busy from your obligations, keep or get rid of it. Because you might be committing shirk with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala when you put that thing before Allah. And some people might say we're exaggerating. We are not exaggerating. This is the reality. The reality is anything of the dunya that takes you away from the remembrance of Allah, and especially from your obligations, that means you're putting that before Allah. So you need to realize that, and we need to understand that very well. Alright? So a game, video, TV, business, car, women, whatever the situation is, money, keeps you away from your obligations. Yani the person who waits until he gets home in the middle of the night to pray all the 5 salawat, you want to tell me this guy is mukhlis and muwahhid? He has the pure tawheed in his heart? Who would rather, for whatever money he's making, to neglect those prayers that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala prescribed upon him from 7 heavens? So very important to understand our priorities. Once you understand that, then wherever you are, you're going to make time to pray. And why there are people for 50, 40 and 50 years, they did not miss salah, or they let salah go out of its time. They managed to pray. They work too. They have families too. They have businesses too. They have whatever you have. And maybe they're even busier than you. Why? Because they know their obligations. And they understand its value. And they know the danger of neglecting it. So why don't you have such mentality? Alright? And every time I'm asked about someone who missed salah, or even forget about me, when you find the real ulama, yani, when they're asked about the real students of knowledge, when they're asked about someone who missed salah, what happens to him? Before they even answer the question, they say, why did he miss the salah? Yani something is very difficult to understand why someone will miss salah. Seriously. Yani it really يعني surprised me. Even you find some of them, يعني الشباب الملتزم, and some of the practicing Muslims, and some of the Muslims who come to the masajid and come to the lectures, they still take the salah so leniently. And if he has a doctor appointment, or if he has this or that, he's willing to for 1 salah or 2 salah to go out, and he doesn't even blink. And it doesn't, oh, I make it up when I get home. Doing the salah or considering the salah to be something simple like that is one of the diseases of the sunnah. Very important. So that's why when Abdul Aziz and his father, Umar bin Abdul Aziz, his father was Allama, yani, one of the scholars of Islam. He tells his the messenger he sent to his son, before you speak a word to him, tell him to shave his head. That's it. The reason so now you have no excuse. Alright? You have no excuse. فبعث عبد العزيز رسولا إليه فما كلمه حتى حلق شعره. Alright? So he did not speak to him until he shaved his head. And Umar bin Abdul Aziz, one time when he was still a boy, he cried. So his mother asked him, he's still a boy, يعني not even mature. He did not even reach the age of al-bulugh, adult. He wasn't even adult yet, puberty. So his mother asked him, why are you crying? He said, I remember death, so I cried. That's a boy. When you see a kid like that, when you see your child who's 7 or 8 or 10 years old or 11, and that is what he's crying because of, not because of a video game, and not because of a card, or not because of allowances, or not because of a game, then know that this kid has a future. This kid will have future. So take advantage of the situation. And we have to understand that these kids that we have, as well as they grow in their bodies and their needs, their spirit also grows, their confidence grows, and their ambitions grow. So we have to nourish that as well, and we need to take care of that, and we need to communicate more with our kids. And we honestly, in our societies, it seems that we have this problem that there is a barrier between the parents and their kids, and hardly they talk to them. You know, and today I was listening and I'm hearing some stories of what goes on from students in Islamic schools. It's disgraceful. And disgraceful when you hear in Islamic schools the dress code, and when you hear in Islamic schools the boyfriend and girlfriend relationships, and when it's addressed to the administration and to people in charge, they say we don't have control over it. So it's the faulty language and the profanity that takes place in Islamic schools. You walk in and you hear how kids curse at each other. You're telling adults, you're talking about 10th and 11th grade in Islamic setting. And then you talk to the administration, we don't have control. You don't have control over that, then that means you should not be in charge of schools. You know, should not be in charge of schools. Because you are harboring and you are nourishing such behavior when you don't try to take action. So we need to understand our kids, and they have needs as they grow up. Imam bin Hazm, one of the great ulama of Islam, he was raised in a very rich environment. Women raised him. Slave women who raised him. So even his behavior was inclined toward that until he took the path of al-ilm. And until he changed, and until he realized the importance of al-ilm, he completely produced one of the greatest ulama of Islam. One time he had a debate with one of the ulama, Abu al-Walid al-Baji, and after the debate they finished, Abu al-Walid al-Baji said, إن كان حصل خلل أو تقصير مني في المناظرة فاعذرني فإني كنت أطلب العلم على سرج الحراس. Abu al-Walid al-Baji, one of the ulama, after he finished and look at the adab, he tells Ibn Hazm, if there was any shortcomings, if I crossed the lines of al-adab with you, then excuse me for that and for my shortcomings in my knowledge, because I used to seek knowledge on the lights of the guards. You know what that means? That means he was so poor that he did not have enough money to have a light in his house. So when he wanted to learn, when he wanted to read at night, he will look where the guards standing, you know how the guards stand with fire? He will go and sit under use their fire so he can read the books of al-ilm. And look at the dedication. So he tells him, excuse me for that. If I have shortcomings, it's because of that. Look where I learned the knowledge from. فقال ابن حزم واعذرني أيضا فإني كنت أطلب العلم على منائر الذهب والفضة. So Ibn Hazm answered him, he said, you also should excuse me and accept my apology for any shortcomings, because the way I used to seek knowledge and read the books under the lights made out of gold and silver. So you see the difference in the two. Gold and silver means gold and silver. The environment this one was raised, and the environment this one was raised. But yet the ilm brought them both to the adab, and brought them both to be at the same level of al-adab and the way they treat each other. So one blames the poverty he was in, if any shortcomings came out of him, and the other blames the spoiling and the environment that he lived in, if any short. But the point is, they both asked each other to, or each one to forgive his brother. Also Abu Hanifa rahimahullah, one of the greatest ulama of Islam, and he was one of the greatest ulama to take care of those students that are gifted. So when he would see a student who's gifted, he will tell him, Abu Yusuf, one of the students, the two famous students of Imam Abu Hanifa, was, his father tells him, why don't deal with Abu Hanifa? Why you go sit to him? Abu Hanifa eats al-farruj al-mashwi, and you can't even do that. Abu Hanifa eats chicken. What's al-mashwi? The barbecue, the roasted chicken. You cannot deal with that, you cannot cope with that. You need to work so you can support your family. So he disappeared, Abu Yusuf, from the circles of knowledge of Abu Hanifa, and then so when Abu Hanifa missed him, he looked for him. So what happened? So he told him the story. He said, come and I'll pay him. So Abu Hanifa, when he used rahimahullah, and he was a merchant and he was a rich man, just like our brother Abdul Razzaq. So the point is, Abu Hanifa, when he used to see a gifted student or a student who has knowledge and who has a desire to learn more and more, he'll take care of him. Even he will take care and he will spend on his family, and even he will get him married and spend on his kids. Why? Because for the benefit of the deen. For the benefit of the deen. And this Abu Hanifa, one word make him Abu Hanifa. One word turned him into Abu Hanifa, as we will see. So it's very so he would قال شريك أحد تلامذته كان يغني من يعلمه على عياله فإذا تعلم قال له لقد وصلت إلى الغنى الأكبر بمعرفة الحلال من الحرام. Abu Hanifa used to spend, Sharik, one of the ulama of the students of Abu Hanifa, used to say, Abu Hanifa used to spend on his students because they were poor. And once they learn, he will bring them and tell them, now you're rich because you can distinguish between halal and haram. That's it. That is ghina. Okay? That is richness, that the way it needs to be understood. قال أبو حنيفة رحمه الله مررت يوما على الشعبي وهو جالس فدعاني وقال إلى من تختلف فقلت أختلف إلى فلان قال لم أعني إلى السوق عنيت الاختلاف إلى العلماء فقلت له أنا قليل الاختلاف إليهم فقال الشعبي لأبي حنيفة لا تفعل وعليك بالنظر في العلم ومجالسة العلماء فإني أرى فيك يقظة وحركة قال فوقع في قلبي من قوله فتركت الاختلاف وأخذت في العلم فنفعني الله تعالى بقوله. And Abu Hanifa, as we said, was a businessman. So one time he passes, and again, Shu'bi, rahimahullah, he notices that this Abu Hanifa is a smart guy, So he calls him, he said, who do you ask about your issues? He said, to so and so. He said, that's not what I meant, Shu'bi, rahimahullah. He said, that's not what I meant, because Abu Hanifa thought he's asking him about business. Who you ask about the business. So he told him, so and so businessman. He told him, no, that's not what I mean. I mean about knowledge, ilm. Who you ask about ilm, who do you take from? So Abu Hanifa said, I really don't take much, right? So Shu'bi rahimahullah told him, you are a guy, or you are a person that I see intelligence in you and I see a lot of energy. So you really should forget about that business and focus on al-ilm. Focus on al-ilm, alright? So Abu Hanifa said, that word fell in my heart, and he changed his way since then. So look, one word, you see a person and you see a kid who is very gifted, or a person who has so much energy to serve the deen and to learn and all that. One word, if you are a person with position, someone respectful, one word of your mouth can change his life. But the bottom line, at the end, he will be in your book too. This Abu Hanifa rahimahullah, perhaps his ilm and his knowledge and his contribution to the deen of Allah is in the book of Shu'bi. as if الشعبي needs, right? But the point is, look how it influenced the behavior of Abu Hanifa. يعني as if it was, okay, it's building up. Here الشعبي said one word to me, changed my life. So now if I see a chance to change someone's life, I'm gonna do it. That's why he was taking care of his students the way he was. All right. So Shu'bi saw in Abu Hanifa the future. So Abu Hanifa started seeing in his students the future, and he will pick them and take care of them. Very important. وعن مكي بن إبراهيم وهو أحد شيوخ البخاري قال كنت أتجر فقدمت على أبي حنيفة قدما فقال لي يا مكي أراك تتجر فالتجارة إذا كانت بغير علم دخل فيها فساد كثير فلما لا تتعلم العلم ولما لا تكتب. يقول مكي بن إبراهيم فلم يزل بي حتى نبغت في العلم وكتابته وتعلمه فرزقني الله منه شيئا كثيرا فلا أزال أدعو لأبي حنيفة في دبر كل صلاة إذا ذكرت. So this is Makki ibn Ibrahim, one of the students, also one of the mashayikh of Imam al-Bukhari, one of the teachers of Imam al-Bukhari. He was a businessman, so Abu Hanifa grabbed him one day. He tells him, يعني, you are a businessman, and it's very dangerous to be involved in business if you don't know the rulings and the ahkam of Islam, because you might fall in a haram transactions without knowing. So you should seek knowledge, and you are a wise person, and you're intelligent, and you're energetic. So Makki ibn Ibrahim started focusing until he became one of the biggest scholars of al-ilm because of a one word from Abu Hanifa. The way that Shu'bi did to Abu Hanifa, here Abu Hanifa carries on and does it to someone else, produce one of the teachers of Imam al-Bukhari. So Makki ibn Ibrahim said, there is no salah since then that after the salah, but I will make dua for Abu Hanifa. He said, I learned and I benefited a great deal from the knowledge, as if he's saying more than any business that I would have had if I continued that way. And Mus'ab ibn Abdullah al-Zubayri قال كان الشافعي رحمه الله في ابتداء أمره يطلب الشعر وأيام العرب والأدب ثم رشد في الفقه بعد. والإمام الشافعي حجة في اللغة بلا شك، وهو الذي يقول ولولا الشعر بالعلماء يزري لكنت اليوم أشعر من لبيدي. وكان سبب أخذه العلم أنه كان يوما يسير على دابة له وخلفه كاتب لأبي عبد الله الزبير فتمثل الشافعي ببيت شعر فقرعه كاتب أبي عبد الله الزبير من خلفه بالصوت ثم قال له مثلك يذهب بمروءته في مثل هذا أين أنت من الفقه. Imam Shafi'i was very eloquent, a poet. And then one day it happened that he's riding his animal or some caravan and someone behind him, so he said a line of poetry. So the guy behind him pokes him with his stick or whatever, and he tells him poetry brings you down. Poetry, it's nice, the poetry is nice if it's used in the right way, but too much poetry take away from the manness of the person, because poetry is not what you're created for. And poetry, as Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says about the shu'ara yattabi'uhum al-ghawun, that poets, a lot of what they say are lies, they're just making up stuff. Alright? But the bottom is, so this man tells him, poetry takes away from your manness. Someone like you should be focusing on al-fiqh. Now before that Shafi'i had nothing to do with al-fiqh. His focus was on poetry and adab and literature and all that. So that was the turning point in his life. Produced Imam Shafi'i, one word. That's why the Prophet ﷺ said, إن الرجل يتفوه بالكلمة من رضوان الله لا يلقي لها بالا ترفعه عند الله درجات. That the person will say the word that pleases Allah, he doesn't even pay attention to it, will raise him levels. This man, the Katib of Abdullah al-Zubayri, Imam Shafi'i in his book of good deeds. Shu'bi, Imam Abu Hanifa in the book of his deed. Abu Hanifa, Makki ibn Ibrahim in his book. So very important that we need to focus, and we need the one word of encouragement to the right person at the right time can produce mujaddid, can produce someone who will renew the deen for this ummah, can produce, and the focus, as they always say, and as they always say, at young age, at very, very early age. Mustafa Agha Shamsuddin, this is long time maybe, but this is Dawla al-Uthmaniyya. Mustafa Agha Shamsuddin, this is one of the teachers of Muhammad al-Fatih. Muhammad al-Fatih was one of Sultan Murad al-Thani, I think. the son of the Khalifa of the Muslims in the Ottoman Empire. But he put this man to take care and to raise his son for him. Yani one of the scholars, so one of the things that he used to do, he used to take him to the shore, to the beach. Not to get some tan, not to go fishing, not to collect شو الصدفات هذا؟ Seashells, yeah. He used to take him, and from that view they were able to see the walls of Constantinople, the walls of Istanbul, the walls of Roman Empire. So he used to stand here to take this kid very often and show him those walls and tell him, it's reported to us that the Prophet ﷺ said that a great leader will bring this wall down and conquer and bring Islam to this area with a great army. Now this hadith is weak, but perhaps Mustafa Agha Shamsuddin used to believe in it. But look what he was instilling in the hearts of this kid. He's telling him, we want you to be that person. And the walls of Constantinople are huge. The very first wall is 40 meter high. That's just the very first layer. 40 meter, that's times too many feet. But the point is, no one was able to invade it. So he will bring Muhammad al-Fatih, brings him and show him, across the sea, to show him these walls that our Prophet told us that we will take over. And we will bring Islam, and that is Turkey today. We will bring Islam to that. So this kid was raised with this mentality. I am the one. And we talked about that a long time ago. When the Prophet ﷺ said, so and so will enter al-Jannah without hisab wala adab. Why we don't say so and so will enter al-Jannah without any accountability, without any punishment, straight to Jannah. Will not question 70,000 of my ummah. So we said, you have to say, why I can't be one of those? When we say the hadith of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam about على رأس كل 100 سنة و100 عام يبعث الله مجدد لهذه يجدد لها أمر دينها. On top of every 100 years, Allah will send someone from the Summah to renew the deen. Why none of us say, why it's not me? Or I want to make sure this time it's going to be my son. So even if your son does not end up to be that person, most probably he will be one of his supporters or one of his assistants. And if he could not reach that level, at least he will be in the vicinity. So imagine what kind of generation we can produce. But that sense of ambition is gone. The ummah of Islam and the Muslims are so defeated mentally. أعوذ بالله. Nothing you find we are saying other than negative. Most of the time we're talking negative. You find the Muslims so good at each other. You find them so busy attacking each other and hurting each other, and that is one of the problems that so this Muhammad al-Fatih, when his kid, he will take him every time, show him the walls of Al-Qustantiniya, tell him that our Prophet promised us that the great man will take over. So he raised this kid with such mentality, that you are the one. Guess what? He was the one. He was the one. His father at young age, he will send him out with the armies to fight, to instill that kind of behavior and attitude in his, and he was able to conquer Constantinople and Europe, and that is Turkey today, one of the biggest Islamic countries in the world, the Ottoman Empire. You know how old he was when he conquered, when he was the Khalifa and conquered Constantinople? He was 23 years old. 23 years old. Because they raised him from young age. They took care of him. So that's what we need to do. That's where we need to focus. It's great that you want your kid to be a doctor and to be this and that and to be a successful man. But that does not mean by any means that he cannot be also other stuff. And the deen is not one of the reasons that keep him down. How many doctors we have? How many lawyers we have? The Muslim society communities, yeah. Where are they? يعني, a lot of them, most probably a lot of them are arrogant to come and sit with you. They think they're better. Trust me on that. Where are they? You know, so it's very important that you have to teach your kid the priority, his priorities, the deen. Yes, you can be successful, you can be a rich person, you can be this, you can be that, you can be business, you can be a doctor, you can be whatever. Yani lawyer, I have some reservation on it for the consideration of the ulama, what they say about being a lawyer. But the point is, be successful, but that does not mean you have to neglect your deen and be a scholar at the same time. Yani Abu Hanifa, here's an example. Businessman, you know, but yet one of the greatest ulama that this ummah produced. So very important, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will send the tawfiq. We just need to know our priorities, and we need to nourish such mentality in the hearts of our kids. In the hearts of our kids, you know. Yani why I don't understand who can be happy to see his kids getting the highest level of education, but his kids doesn't even know what La ilaha illallah is. He doesn't even know where the masjid is. He doesn't even know how to pray. Yani what kind of happiness is that? What kind of yani, it's a shahwa. Shahwa to see your kids successful. Then the success of your kids for him. Yani how much you're going to benefit from. Very temporary for you. But you have lost an individual that counts as one of the sunnah. Yani Muslims today, I know personally Muslims, supposedly Muslims by names, who buy Christmas trees for Christmas and for whatever the end of the year in their houses. You want to say this is, we can count him, yani we don't say he's kafir or not, but the point is, yani can you depend on him to serve this deen? There is no hope in such a person. But most probably it's the fault of his father, yani. You know, so again we say and we focus on the environment. Yani how many of us, when they get married, one of their conditions, you have to pray, or they should not even get married to someone who doesn't pray. Why we don't ask these questions? Why they don't put condition, you need to take me to the masjid, we need to go learn knowledge, you need to seek knowledge, you have to teach me. Let's say that they don't know how to read Quran, you have to teach me how to read Quran. We don't hear these conditions, يعني إلا من رحم رب. So very important that we need to know our priorities. يعني wallahi, as I tell you, that the world, the signs that are happening are exactly the signs that the Prophet ﷺ said for the Day of Judgment. So we need to be aware. يعني one of the last signs of the Day of Judgment, the minor signs, is that the drying of Nahr al-Furat, the Euphrates River in Iraq will dry, and it's a drying. انحسروا عن جبل من ذهب. So it's very important to realize that. يعني يكثر الهرج والمرج. يعني the killing is so. The Prophet ﷺ said the Day of Judgment doesn't come until the killing is so widespread. And what's happening today? يعني hundreds of people dying every day. You know, so you have to be prepared. You have to plant that seed. يعني when you're gonna do that. يعني the kuffar reject the messengers and reject the prophet, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says يعني أن عسى أن يكون قد اقترب أجل فبأي حديث بعده يؤمن. يعني maybe those people who deny maybe their death is coming, maybe they're gonna die, so when they gonna believe? If they don't believe now, when they gonna believe? يعني how they guarantee they're gonna live until they get a messenger who gonna suit their desires? So we Muslims, we are the only people who know about this stuff. يعني the kuffar has no of this. يعني ذلك بأنهم قوم لا يعلمون. They don't know. We fail to teach them, and we are worse in the sense that we have the knowledge and we don't work on it. We don't take care of it. We don't deal with it. We don't treat it the way we should. So it's very important, and that's why we talk about this stuff. And as I said before, yes, the Ummah is going through a lot of tribulations and a lot of disasters, and the Israelis and the Kuffar and the Christians and the Crusaders, and we are being fought in Europe, and we're being fought in America, and we're being fought in the Muslim world and the Muslim countries, and our people being starved and all that. But just talking about these issues without going back to the original and to the pure sources will not help. And I can sit here and talk to you hours and hours about the struggle of the Muslims in Europe and everywhere in the world. What benefit? If our fundamental and our foundation is shaky, if we are not made, and our generation, perhaps we are not, this generation is not raised the way they were supposed to. So why shouldn't we talk about raising the next generation? Perhaps that is the key of success. We have to try to change. We have to change ourselves. So very important. That's why we try to reflect on their experience so we can learn from it and implement it in our life. Implement it in our life, on our kids, even on ourselves. So that takes us to the last part of tonight, and that is the youth. That is the youth. We have to take advantage of this stage of our lives. Allah, the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam says, اغتنم خمسا قبل خمس. اغتنم, look at the word the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam using. Take advantage of 5 things before 5 things. He uses the word اغتنم, take advantage. You know why? Because it's a very short period. Because those things are very short. So if you don't take advantage of the moment, you're going to miss it. It doesn't come back. And he says, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, شبابك قبل هرمك, or شبابك قبل هرمك. Your youth before your old age. When you're strong before you're weak. You know? And in another one, حياتك قبل موتك. Your life before your death. So yes, you take care of, you take advantage of your whole life. All right? Yet, out of this life, the best time you can produce is when you're young. Because that youth falls between 2 weaknesses. Between the weakness of being a child and the weakness of being old. So you take advantage of that. Imam Ahmad rahimahullah, he said in the meaning that I measured youth and I found it like putting a coin in my pocket that has a hole. And when you have a hole in your pocket and you put a coin in it, right away it's going to come out. So that's how short, how long is that coin going to last in your pocket? In and out. So he said that youth is like that. Youth like that. It flies. So we need to take advantage of it. We need to capitalize on it. That's what the Prophet is saying. Capitalize on your youth. Take every opportunity. And we said in the other lectures in the other masjid, al-mizan, when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala established al-mizan and the scale, one good deed can tip the good side over the bad side. One good deed. And vice versa. So don't underestimate any good deed. Don't underestimate any advance or any opportunity to serve the deen of Allah. Maybe your success in it. عن ابن عباس رضي الله عنه قال ما آتى الله عز وجل علما إلا شاب والخير كله في الشباب. Abdullah bin Abbas, he said, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala only gave knowledge to the young people. He only gave knowledge to the youth when they were young. That's when He gave them knowledge. He didn't give them knowledge when they got old. He gave them knowledge when they were young. وَالْخَيْرُ كُلُّهُ فِي الشَّبَابِ. And good is all in the youth. ثُمَّ تَلَا قَوْلُ قَالُوا سَمِعْنَا فَتًى يَذْكُرُهُمْ يُقَالُ لَهُ إِبْرَاهِيم. Then he recite now proofs from the Quran. He said, Allah says about the people of Ibrahim. Remember when He destroyed them? His people came back. They said, we heard someone mentioning them, a young guy named Ibrahim. Young guy, Fata. And then he said, إِنَّهُمْ فِتْيَةٌ آمَنُوا بِرَبِّهِمْ وَزِدْنَاهُمْ هُدًى. Who are those? Ahl al-Kahf, about the people of the cave. Those are young boys who believed in their Lord, and we gave them guidance. Then he also recited, وَآتَيْنَاهُ الْحُكْمَ صَبِيًّا. About Yahya. About Yahya, Allah says we give him knowledge at young age. So he's saying Allah gives knowledge to the people when they're young. So take advantage of this situation. قالت حفصة بنت سيرين. This is a woman now advising you. يا معشر الشباب اعملوا فإن العمل في الشباب. She's addressing the young people. She said, work and contribute, because that is the time to do that. The time of youth, when you're young. Okay? Usama ibn Zayd radiyallahu anhu, the Prophet ﷺ put him in the leadership of an army when he was 18. You know who was in that army? Abu Bakr and Umar. Usama ibn Zayd was in charge when he was 18. Tab ibn Usayd, another Sahabi, was 25 when the Prophet ﷺ put him the governor of Mecca after the conquer of Mecca. 25 years old. قال يحيى بن معين للإمام أحمد بن حنبل وقد رأى يمشي خلف بغلة الشافعي يا أبا عبد الله تركت حديث سفيان. يعني يحيى بن معين sees الإمام أحمد walking behind the donkey of Imam al-Shafi'i. Imam al-Shafi'i on a donkey, and he sees Imam Ahmad walking behind him. So he tells him, why you're busy with this kid or this guy Shafi'i, and you can be listening to the hadith from Sufyan ibn Uyayna. You can take in the hadith closest to the Prophet, the narration. He said, because if I don't take the hadith from Sufyan, I'll take it from someone else. But if I miss on the intelligence of Shafi'i, I can't find it anywhere. So taking advantage of the situation. Here's the Shafi'i, and as I said, Ahmad rahimahullah said Shafi'i is the renewer of the deen in the 2nd century. So the point is, he wanted to take advantage of this person. And that is very, very important. وفد على عمر بن عبد العزيز من العراق. يعني delegates came to Umar bin Abdul Aziz when he's the Khalifa from Iraq, and their leader was a young man. So when he came forward to talk, Umar bin Abdul Aziz said, كبر كبر. يعني let someone who's older than you speak. يعني you're young, have respect, let someone older than you. فقال الفتى, and you know Umar bin Abdul Aziz was young when he became the Khalifa, and he only served like 2 years and a half. فقال الفتى يا أمير المؤمنين إن الأمر ليس بالسن ولو كان كذلك كان في المسلمين من هو أسن منك. فقال صدقت فتكلم. So this young man that Umar told him, let the older speak, he said, يا أمير المؤمنين, it's not about age, because if it's about age, then you should not be the Khalifa. Someone older should be the Khalifa. You know? So Umar bin Abdul Aziz said, you said the truth, so speak up. You know, speak up. You said the truth. It's not about age. So take it from who has it. وحكى المسعودي في شرح المقامات أن المهدي لما دخل البصرة رأى إياس بن معاوية. المهدي the Khalifa, I don't know if you remember Iyas ibn Muawiyah. We spoke about him. You remember the man who remembers him? The sleeping person, or people will not remember, but Iyas ibn Muawiyah, Iyas ibn Muawiyah, remember that when he brought an old guy to the judge? So the old guy, the judge told him, how can you bring this old man to take something from him? You have respect for him. So he said the truth. He said, Iyas ibn Muawiyah, the truth. There is no old or young when it comes to the truth. He took something from me falsely, I want it back. So the judge tells him, have respect, don't talk. He said, I brought him to speak about my opinion, to defend myself. How you could tell me not to talk? So the judge got fed up with him. He said, obviously you will not speak something good. So Iyas ibn Muawiyah said, La ilaha illallah Muhammad Rasulullah. And you're not, he said, even if you speak, you're not going to say something good. So he picked La ilaha illallah Muhammad Rasulullah. And how can you say this is not good, So when someone else was there and he told the story to Mahdi, what did he do? He fired that judge and he put Iyas ibn Muawiyah to be the judge. Young age, a young boy, young kid. So when Mahdi came to Kufa and he saw all these people, 40 of the ulama and the biggest scholars, and Iyas ibn Muawiyah in charge of them. And he's their head, the head of them. He's their leader. So Mahdi said, how you put this young kid to be the leader of all those big ulama. ثم إن المهدي التفت كم سنك يا فتى فقال سني أطال الله بقاء الأمير سن أسامة بن زيد بن حارثة لما ولاه رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم جيشا فيهم أبو بكر وعمر فقال له تقدم بارك الله. So Al-Mahdi, when he saw him, this young kid in charge, he said, how old are you? He said, my age is the same age as Usama ibn Zayd when the Prophet ﷺ put him in charge of an army that has Abu Bakr and Umar. And what can you say after that, you know? وذكر الخطيب في تاريخ بغداد أن يحيى بن أكثم ولي قضاء البصرة وسنه 20 سنة أو نحوها يعني. Yahya ibn Aktham, they put him as the judge or the big judge of Basra when he was in his 20s. So the people, يعني, very young, how can they put? So they approached him, they said, كم سن القاضي? يعني, how old are you? He said, أنا أكبر من عتاب بن أسيد الذي وجه به الرسول صلى الله عليه وسلم قاضيا على أهل مكة يوم الفتح. وأنا أكبر من معاذ بن جبل الذي وجه به الرسول صلى الله عليه وسلم قاضيا على أهل اليمن. وأنا أكبر من كعب بن سور الذي وجه به عمر الخطاب قاضيا على البصرة. خلاص. They tell him, how old are you? يعني, they saw him young. He said, I'm older than Mu'adh ibn Jabal that the Prophet ﷺ put him in charge of Yemen. And I'm older than Sawr ibn Ka'b that the Umar ibn Khattab put him judge in al-Basra. And I'm younger than Atab ibn Usayd, the Prophet ﷺ put him a judge in Mecca. So what you want? يعني, I'm older than all of them. So if they were not qualified, so if they were qualified and they were younger than me, then you should have no problem with me. That's it. That's their hujjah. Yani. He did not start bringing them his credentials and I graduated from Harvard and MIT and all that. He just used the hujjah with them. So they cannot argue about the opinion of the Prophet or the decision of the Prophet or Umar. So you should not argue about people putting me. So that's inshallah what. And Sibawayh, yani, Sibawayh is the very much the greatest person in the history of Islam when it comes to the Arabic language. Nahwi, yani. Grammar and all that related to the language, Sibawayh perhaps is number one. Yani when a man came to you know the harakat, O, or Hamza, or Dhamma, or Fatha, or Kasra, you know that, right? So when a man came to the house of Sibawayh and knocked on the door, so the Sibawayh's son opened the door. So he wanted to ask him yani, about his father. So he didn't know how to say Aina Abuka or Aina Abaka or Aina Abika, because the grammar, you know. So the man said Aina Abuka Abaka Abika. Yani, does not make a mistake. Yeah. So this yani Sibawayh, look at this greatness. Yani, I don't think any person who's at least Arab will not at least will know who Sibawayh is. He will tell you this is like the Arabic language was yani. Died when he was 32. 32. All that ilm he left behind, he died when he was 32 years old. Mu'adh ibn Jabal radiyallahu anhu, the Prophet ﷺ said, the most knowledgeable of halal and haram of my ummah, Mu'adh. Became Muslim, he was 18, he died, he was 33. Yani 15 years, that's his whole life in Islam. 15 years. Look that Mu'adh, when the Prophet ﷺ was كنت رديف النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم, he's sitting behind the Prophet ﷺ on the animal. The Prophet ﷺ looks back at him and he said, Ya Mu'adh, Wallahi inni la uhibbuk. Oh Mu'adh, Wallah, I love you. The Prophet ﷺ telling Mu'adh, I love you. That's Mu'adh. So there is a great deal with the youth and with young age, and we need to take advantage of it. So don't let the business and don't let the family and don't keep you busy from your main purpose in this life. And that is to serve the deen of Allah. So next time inshallah we'll talk about some of the examples of the energy that the people of this ummah had to serve the deen of Allah and the effort they put. Yani when we talk about those, we all gonna be lowering our head how much ashamed we are to see how much those people did for the deen compared to how much we had done. But perhaps it's a reason to encourage ourselves and to raise our himmam and our determination so that we can contribute at least something close to what they have done. Maybe we can be with them, if not near them or their neighbors. أقول قولي هذا واستغفر الله لي ولكم وصلى الله على محمد. جزاكم الله خير. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله.